program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the middle of the African bush. The sun's peeping up out the eastern horizon. We're on search for the African big cats. Welcome to Safari Live.
Standing by.
Djuma and the thumb, and as you can see, it's just another day at the office for the thumb. We're right down on the southern edge of Djuma Private Game Reserve in search of our dominant female leopard, the Queen Karula, and I'm hoping to find a fresh set of tracks, or even better, to find her herself. Now, for those of you who might not know, she's got two cubs that are about 7 months old now, so they are getting quite big, and I'm hoping to see them. I haven't seen them in quite a while, so I'm always excited to look for any of the big cats, but Karula, of course, is a special one for all of us here at Safari Live. Now, in the other vehicle, making her official Safari Live debut, is Taylor, and of course, she is going to be looked after by VM, aka the Wildebeest, and they are looking for lions up in the north while we check for leopards down in the south. And it is a warm 19 degrees Celsius or 66 Fahrenheit, but I'm quite happy. Winter's over, glorious warm days ahead. It's going to be apparently blisteringly hot today, 37 degrees Celsius, which I think is about 109 Fahrenheit, if my maths is correct, which it probably isn't, because maths is not my strong point. It's a good thing I can see leopard tracks well, otherwise I'd be in trouble. So it is absolutely gorgeous out here. As you can see, we're at the end of the dry season. There's barely a blade of grass. We are also experiencing the worst drought in record in South Africa since reliable weather records were kept since 1903. This is the driest period in the affected areas, and we are in one of the affected areas since 1903. So this is the driest period we faced in over 100 years. And I know sometimes it's quite difficult because some of the animals look like they're struggling, but drought is part of the natural cycle. And in the last 4.5 billion years, we've been wet, we've been dry, and the only history in the only constant in the history of the earth is change. So one must stop sometimes and just think a little bit about the bigger scheme of things. Quite often we tend to focus on our very small little area that we drive on every day, but in terms of the whole ecosystem, the 8.5 million acres. I've just come up from the north, lots of grass, happy buffalo, although as soon as you come further south in the Kruger, you can see the lack of grass, lack of water, and the drought taking its effects. Now, I'm just going to go forward a little bit so you can have a look at that glorious blazing orb. That is our sun. Now, of course, it's the same sun you see, just at a different time of the day, depending on where you are. But look at that. So it almost looks like a sunset. And the reason for that is because of the dry season. There's lots of dust. There's been some fires down in sugarcane fires and forest fires down in the south, and it's created a lot of haze on the horizon, and that is what's giving us that absolutely beautiful sunrise. Now, it's always good to switch off and listen. Look at that. Can we? I can see a flare, Brian, on the left. Can you see it? Or is that my eyes playing tricks on me? Now, sometimes, especially when it's like this, you can see it's a bit hazy, but you can see the flares, and sometimes you can even see the sunspot. Of course, we wouldn't recommend doing this during the middle of the day. We'd all be blind. But with that nice haze of dust, it gives us a nice filter to look at that glorious burning orb. I'm trying to see, can you see any spots, Brian? So they are there. We're just trying to change the settings so you can see some of the sunspots. Now, of course, the flares are not too big at the moment because Oh, look at that. You can see there on the left-hand side. Look at that. Look how deeply red those little flares are up to the top left. Ryan, how many million degrees is that? I've forgotten. Many million degrees. Now, of course, you are looking at this burning, glowing orb that we are seeing from Djuma Private Game Reserve in South Africa, and we are live. So if you'd like to ask me a question, whether it be about the sun of the drought or the many fantastic creatures we get out here in the African bush, you can do that by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or you can send an email to questions@wildearth.tv. Now, as I said, it's Taylor's debut, so let's be nice to her. I'm sure you guys have got lots of questions for her, so let's go and say good morning to Taylor.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our wonderful sunrise safari. It's very warm here, and some of you may remember me from about a month ago. Well, my name is Taylor, and I'm one of the new presenters here now. And behind the cameras, we've got VM, so he's going to be helping me out, which is great. I've had to bribe him with coffee and chocolate just to help me get around the reserve this morning. And he said I'll get off the hook if I show him lions. So that's what we're going to be looking for this morning. I'm sure you're all excited. I know everybody's been asking lots and lots of questions about the Nkuhuma Pride, who I don't know very much about. I haven't seen them before, so if anybody's got any helpful tips or can tell me a little bit about the Pride, I'd really appreciate little inside information. So if you're some new viewers and you're not sure how to get hold of us, you can hashtag SafariLive, or you can, if you want to send an email, you can send an email to questions@wildearth.tv. So also, I'm sure you want to get to know me a little bit better, so send in the questions and I'll happily answer them to the best of my ability. It's an early morning, and it's such a beautiful sunrise that I believe Brent has already shared with you. We can just see it peeping over now. At the moment, we don't really have a nice gap, unfortunately. Let's see, how's that? Oh, it's just creeping in the distance through the thicket. But in no time, it'll be up and I'll have to take my jersey off. So at the moment, we're just bumbling around, checking a few roads just to see if there's any tracks of the lions coming out. I believe they've been giving everybody grey hairs, lots of footprints, but actually no lion activity. So we're going to head on a little bit further and just have a look here. I see a few little footprints. Let me just have a look just to make sure. Hyena. Okay, not what we're looking for. We're going to just carry on. We're going to take it very easy this morning. Just see what's happening out along this road. Oh wow, that sun's really coming up nicely now. We're quite lucky out here. We have the best view in the bush. Wake up every morning, early mornings, to a wonderful sunrise, nice cup of strong coffee. It's great. Every now and then we get great sound effects of the lions, the hyenas calling in the distance. So I think while we're carrying on, having a look for any sign of a cat, a big cat, we're going to head on over to Steph and see what he's up to this morning. He's on the ground, I believe. So good luck, and I hope you find lots of small little creatures.
Good morning, and it is a fantastic morning this morning. I'm Steph, and on camera today we have Jean-Ray back in the driving seat, the walking team reunited and getting ready to do everything that we do out here, which is exactly what Taylor said. Looking for the smaller little creepy crawlies and things that get me really excited. But talking about small things, there's no small amount of weather change on the way, I don't think. There's that old saying, you know, the red sky in the morning is a shepherd's warning, and I think today couldn't have been a better example of what we're talking about. The sun rose up, a huge red ball in the eastern sky. And although we can't see any cloud cover, it is exactly that's diffusing the light. That or smoke, but generally if it's smoky from a bushfire, which is also around about this time of the year, then we could smell that type of smoke on the horizon. That, as far as I'm concerned, at least anyway, it's cloud, like a bank of cloud, and usually hanging out over the Indian Ocean and moving inland and bunching up over that Lebombo mountain range that we've got lying on the eastern side of the Kruger National Park. I've actually just noticed this for the first time, and I just wanted to share it with you. It is a grove of Zebrawood trees, and what's remarkable, what's happening to me this morning, is that these trees here very, very rarely grow very large in the Kruger National Park, because elephant absolutely love them and smash them around and break them into tiny little sticks. And generally we've just got one or two examples of small live zebrowoods over here. They do get quite big. The biggest ones I've seen are actually in the Manyeleti. They've got an enclosed, I suppose at some point it was, I don't know what they used it for, but they grow to about this size. But what's significant about this is that they're growing in this little thicket. This is a grove of zebrawood trees. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, with the largest one being this one that the termite mound is growing around, and they are all still alive. They're not dead, which is fantastic. And on top of quarantine clearings, which I've never really noticed before, to be honest with you. Why I like the zebrawood is that it's an incredibly hard wood. You can see that even though I'm pulling around on this thing, there's not much movement going on. It's one of the densest, second densest woods that we have out here. Beautiful for carving patterns on, and gets its name from this. Its heartwood is black and its cambium layer is white, and you can see that very distinctive striped pattern that comes out there, looking very much like a zebra's coat. Used for wood carving, beautiful inlays. I've heard that they do knife handles out of it. Makes quite nice jewelry box inlays, because it gets marbled, the wood, with that black line, or those black inside lines. You can see this here. Let me do that a little bit for you. You can see how beautiful that is. Have a look at that. Shiny, shiny heartwood there. Lovely, eh? Alright. And that's my good mornings to you in this lovely, very rare zebrawood grove. And we're going to send you over to Brent, who's got an update for you.
That's called the Milwaukee. Just turn that one down, and this is the last area that female leopard's tracks were seen. So I'm hoping, on top of James's tracks from last night, we're going to see the fresh pug marks of a leopard. And half the fun about being on a live safari is, of course, the search for the animals. And because we're live, you never know what could be around the next corner. And I hear a bird that has been plaguing me for many moons. So for our regulars, we have been in search of the white-throated robin. We've only managed to get it on camera once, and it was actually right here. And I can hear a pair calling. So I'm hoping we can find this very beautiful bird and put it on camera. Brian, you're calling up to this side here. But where'd he go? I can hear him calling again. Okay, I've got him. So, oh no, that's a different one. Let's see if it is the white-throated. It is snot. What is that? It's a very big beak. It's a black-collared barbet. Okay. Let me just see if I can spot that robin again. Can you hear him? Okay. If we come, there's a barbet. Well, let's have a quick look at the black-collared barbet. Still a very beautiful bird. and probably after fruit of the jackalberry in that tree. Now, if we come out, Brian, just keep coming out, making lots of noise. We will try to get closer. Of course, I've just lost sight of him. So, where's my arm? Let me see if I can get my hand in here. Wait, it's there. I think it's there. Or is it just below that? No, it's there. In that little thicket there. Okay, let's move a little bit closer. Now, for those of you who knew, a lot of our viewers like to keep a bird list. Some of them have got over 200 species seen on a live safari. So if you are new, we do encourage you to join in the bird watching fun. Because of course it's not always and only about the lions, leopards and other things. There's so many incredible little facets to the wilderness. Like the ever irritating, because we can't put it on camera, white-throated robin. Oh, there he goes. Where you? Oh, he's flown away. We tried. We tried. Okay, we might catch him on the next bend of the river. So this hunt for the white-throated robin got really serious before I went on leave last time. See how the call? Sounds like he's in that large knobthorn tree. What do you got there? That is called a wood gore or a wood rose, where an insect, or actually sometimes mistletoe, has grown or stuck and has caused the tree to produce a growth hormone called globulin. And that, however, is not a bird.
Close.
Close. I'd say he's in the bottom left somewhere. Maybe even a bit further. Okay, I know what to do, Brian. I have a plan. So this is a little two-track. A two-track is a road that's not really a road. It's a little access point in and out of the river. Okay, you can hear him. Can you see him, Brian? He's so close! Oops. What's that there? Do I need to go back? That's not, it could be. I don't think it's a robin. So, yeah, you got it. Oh, what? That is a Karachani thrush. So, a beautiful bird, not one we see often, but not the one we're looking for.
Sounds amazing.
So, a slightly different call to the white-throated robin, but a very beautiful call and a very beautiful bird. The robin has gone quiet. Now I will play you what the robin sounds like. Such a pretty bird. The Karachani thrush. That could be a new bird species for a few of you. Let me know if it is, and let me know what your bird lists are on. And you can do that by emailing me questions at WildEarthTV or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. The Karachani thrush. And if you're worried about spelling, it's Kurrichane. Karachani. Now the white-throated robin sounds like this. Now robins are great mimics. So we're going to keep searching for the mysterious and hard to find white-throated robins of Djuma. While we do that, let's go see how Taylor's search for the lions is going.
Welcome back. I believe we all showed you wonderful sunrises this morning, so I hope you got your fix. It was a really pretty one with a little bit of cloud cover, which was really lovely. So we haven't had much luck, unfortunately. We've just checked Galago Pair, no tracks of any lions. We're now on our way to Vuyatela to go and have a look at that dam and just see if we can try and pick up where these lions have gone or where they've come to. We have checked a part of the cut line earlier this morning and we didn't see any tracks going out, so that's quite hopeful for us. So we're going to keep searching, and hopefully if we see a few little interesting things along the way, we can stop and chat about them as well. So I haven't heard any questions coming through. Is everybody still sleeping? Have you not had your first cup of coffee to wake you up this morning? Well, you better put it on the brew, because I'm hoping that... Wait, Impala! Racing Impala. Let's go up a little bit further. We've got some Impala and inyala hiding in the back there. Let's see what they have to say. Bit difficult. A little bit of the sunrise still in the background. There's a few Impala. And if you look right at the back in the thicket where the inyala love to stay, there's a few of them. There's even a young male, which you can see now, which VM is zooming in on. Lovely. He's still getting there. He's quite young. Hasn't got any of his adult colorations. He still looks like a female just with the horns. It'd be quite interesting to know as well, what type of deer do you have in the States? So a little birdie just whispered into my ear now. Thank you, Raisa, for the warm welcoming. I hope I live up to the standards of the other wonderful presenters that are here. I've got a lot to learn, and I've got some great mentors, so I'm very, very excited. So thank you so much for that, and thank you so much for all the comments as well over the last few days that you've all been sending to me. It's made me feel at ease, and the butterflies are no longer fluttering. You can just see everybody's sort of in dire straits at the moment, looking for food. You can see that inyala, you just trying to find any bit of leaf or even a new grass shoot, which they are known to eat. Sort of looking underneath the logs, looking under unfavorable spots that perhaps some of the other animals may have missed. Oh, we've got a curious one. And I wish we can see. We're going to sit quietly because there's a female coming with a really young fawn, which is about to just pop up on the right. Have a look at this. And she's actually coming straight towards us. Look at that little one at the back. Look how carefully they put their feet when they step as well. It always just amazes me. When I go walking through the bush, I don't sound like any animal. Even the elephants walk quieter than I do. I'm just going to go very quiet now, just to sit and enjoy this female. She's going to walk right in front of my vehicle. You should also be able to hear a pearl-spotted owlet if you turn the volume up. Hello, little one. It's okay. Mom is completely relaxed with us. And now the little one, looking slightly hesitant. There it is. It's okay. Fantastic. Quite a youngster. Sure, Mom's still going to be stashing this one occasionally in the thicket if she goes off to feed. But isn't that wonderful? You don't really know what we are yet. You're just trusting Mom. Look at that. Fantastic. Oh, the whole lot of them are now funneling past my vehicle. This is incredible. If any of you have been watching the show long enough or been fortunate to actually go on a safari, you know how uncommon it is to get antelope standing still, let alone to have them filter right through and in front of your vehicle. And so calmly. Here we got an Impala who's pretending to be an inyala. We're actually going to hang around just behind us. We're going to see him. He's on his way. Is a beautiful big male inyala. There's another youngster in the distance, but I cannot wait for this big boy to come on through. He is quite spectacular. Some of the bigger ewes coming through on the left now. That's probably why this male is lurking around. Is maybe one or two of these females are coming into estrus, maybe a bit late, but it's still possible. And hopefully he's going to be coming through and just making sure and see if he can possibly mate with any of them. But at the moment he's nibbling. He's coming through slowly. That's the young one that you're looking at now. This really impressive boy. You're going to love him. You can actually see him now feeding. So VM's just going to pan on over. There, we've got a glimpse of him now. He's just munching away. He's not showing too much interest in the girls at the moment. But isn't he lovely? Cecilia, good morning. You've asked quite a complex question, which is great. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to sort of send it out again exactly as you put it. But basically, Cecilia would like to know why, essentially, with all the drought that's going on at the moment, why do the animals have parasites? And surely over time, maybe evolution, they would have built up an immunity or something along those lines to prevent them from getting any parasites. But parasites are actually healthy and normal for animals. Some of them are host-specific. So, for instance, I know I can just speak about Impala. We had a few Impala racing through here. They actually say that a healthy Impala should have about 5,000 ticks on it. And I mean, normally you'd think, goodness gracious, they're sucking a lot of blood. How can it function? But it's normal. They've got intestinal parasites. However, I was very fortunate enough while I was at my previous work, we had a hippo die due to the drought, and they did an autopsy on this hippo, and it was amazing. In the area, there was actually a parasite specialist. Can you believe it, that somebody specializes in parasites? Well, I was there, notebook in hand, and he was so interesting. And he was telling us that actually the amount of parasites that they're finding in the animals now during this drought is actually far fewer than what there would be if there was a lot of water around. A lot of them sort of rely on their larval stage either spawning or evolving in water. So without that water, a lot of them can't survive, especially any of the parasites that are sort of snail forms. I'm sure you've had all the other presenters tell you about African land snails and how they can sort of live in very arid conditions and sort of, I suppose you could say, hibernate for about 2 years until some good rain comes around, and then they can come out again. The same thing happens with these parasites that are snails. They're not active during these dry periods, but predominantly in the rainy season. So in summer, you tend to see more parasites in animals than you do in the winter months. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit, Cecilia, but if it doesn't, let me know and I will try and reword it and have a little think about it. It was a good one. My brain's still a bit sleepy this morning, so you caught me off guard there a little bit. Very cheeky. So yeah, these inyala have passed us as we've been talking along. I'm going to go back though. I really want you to have a good look at this male inyala. If he isn't spooked, let's see. Practice my reversing skills. Luckily it's a straight road. It's not spook him. Oh, he's still eating. He doesn't look too bothered at all. It's actually quite interesting. What? Sorry, I don't have mirrors. I'm not used to driving a vehicle without mirrors. Let me quickly just reverse arm here. Just want to poke my nose like this so you can see. We don't have to go too close. There he goes. That's nice. There he is now. It was quite interesting. We just actually missed him feeding on, well, earlier he was feeding on a silver cluster leaf, and then he moved on to a guarri tree, one in the Euclea family, which is really interesting that these poor animals have now resorted to feeding on these very harsh trees that contain lots and lots and lots of tannins. Watch, you might do it again. See the trees that he's sort of walking under? Those are the trees that he was just eating. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when animals feed on trees, they don't usually eat on the trees for a long time. I'm particularly talking about browsers now. So Kudu and inyala, Impala too, giraffe, they sort of only feed for just a few minutes, and then they move on to the next tree. I don't know if you've ever seen that before. And a lot of these trees is a chemical defense, and I know it's been spoken about before, but we do have a lot of new viewers here have got tannins as a chemical defense. Now, the guarri trees, my goodness, the whole Euclea family are full of tannins. You don't even need to pull a few leaves off and entice it to secrete these tannins. It automatically makes your mouth dry. The only way I can describe it is if you take one of those leaves and you put them in your mouth, and I do this quite often, I normally do this with my guests, it completely dries it out. It tastes like you're eating a very sour grape, particularly the grape skin, or very bad wine. And this is what's happening with the animals. And too much tannin can actually cause tannin poisoning, which is very harmful for the animals. So you'll see, munch a little bit, try and eat on the leaves while they're sweet, and then move on. But now, in this unfavorable drought that we're having at the moment, the animals are actually having to eat a bit more than what they normally would. So it's very sad for them, but I'm hoping and I'm trying to be optimistic here that we are going to get some early rains. We've had this hot weather just spring onto us, and we've had no change between winter and summer. It just went to summer, which is great. So hopefully that means we're going to get a bit of cloud buildup, we're going to get the thunderstorms coming in, and we're going to have some fantastic rain, and then it will solve the problem after a week or so, and we get lovely new grass, and then everything will be happy and it will go back to normal again. But the inyala and Impala have left us. Let's carry on. We're going to still head to Vuyatela and just check the pan. So, I don't know if any of you heard me earlier. I did sneak in what type of deer do you get in the States? And Lynn just told me that you get white-tailed deer. Lynn, I wonder if you could help me and elaborate a little bit more. What antelope do they look like that we have? Do they look similar to the inyala? Do they look similar to kudu? How big are they? I really need to learn a little bit more about the wildlife and the rest of the world. And hopefully we're going to go and visit the States next year sometime. So we're going to go through this little bumpy section. So just hold on. Although viewers at home, you don't have to hold on. VM. Oh, we've got squeaky brakes. There we go, we made it safely. I actually think I remember coming through here on my interview drive, so I've still got to learn the property as we go along over the next few days. Hopefully it won't take me too long. I've had a little bit of practice of learning roads and things in the last few years. Oh wow, we're going to very quickly just have a look in the distance. Actually, that's quite nice. I don't know, VM, if you can see that beautiful congregation of Impala in the distance. Look at all of them over there. Looks like there's quite a few boys. Let me have a look with the binoculars. And girls. A bit of everybody waking up, doing a bit of grooming. Oh, there's a few inyala. And they seem to be very relaxed. So I am now not optimistic about lions being in this area. Not that that is always a good indication that if there are impala present that there are no animals. I've watched lions walk straight past impala while they were roaring, and they were impala were maybe 10 meters away, and they didn't care. Their alarm called and they let them know that they knew they were there. And of course, lions having to rely on stealth, they didn't catch them. I think what we're gonna do now is let's head over to Steph and see what he's up to. See if he's got anything interesting for you on the walk. So yeah, please keep me updated with what types of antelope, and Lynn, I'll be waiting to hear from you a little bit later about what a white-tailed deer looks like. I'll see you in a bit, hopefully with some lions.
Yes, welcome back. We've been making our way slowly across quarantine. There's just such a lovely warm breeze blowing, and we've decided to come and have a look at a newcomer on the block. Someone who's just woken up from slumber is this particular knobthorn, and you can see how just absolutely covered in flower filaments this particular knobthorn is. She's just looking, he or she, I don't know which one this one is, we call it a she, she's just looking particularly splendid this morning. You can see all those little brown filaments are now opening up or bursting open with the flowers. And there's just a prime example of a beautiful pale yellow flower. Not being pollinated by anything just yet, anything in particular. I stopped at a knobthorn the other day and there were some butterflies that were pollinating these particular, I just want to, let's have a look there quickly, Chandra. I think there's two sunbirds in the, oh, no, don't worry. Chandra is looking at me with angst and fear. These tiny little birds that flit around too fast are difficult to film. But they were pollinated by, one was a jewel beetle, there were some butterflies pollinating it, but no bees. And interestingly, I can't remember ever seeing bees on a knobthorn. I questioned James about it yesterday, and he also said he hasn't seen a single knobthorn with a bee on this year. Now, I don't know if bees pollinate acacia flowers, or if we're actually seeing a disturbance in the bee population around here. Now we've had no bees this winter around camp. There were literally 2 visitors yesterday, and I thought that it was uncommon for us not to have bees around camp in winter. Generally, bees in camp in winter are a huge problem because there's always accessible water, there's always access to food, fruit lying in bowls and things like that. But we've had nothing this year, and I don't know if that's a problem or not. We're going to keep an eye open for things in the next couple of weeks, that's for sure. And hopefully we see an increase in the activity of bees. Otherwise we're in for I don't know what we're in for. I know worldwide there's a huge problem with bees. There's mass extinction. And with bees goes the opportunity or the ability for flowers to pollinate, and a vast amount of our food plants are pollinated by bees. And so it is a bit of a worry for me. But what isn't a worry is how pretty that dove is sitting on top of or pigeon in actual fact, sitting on top of the dead tree there. Just in the sun, we have a green pigeon. And while I didn't have too many things on my mind this morning, I definitely now have a plan. We are going to, after this, walk to the sausage pod in Philemon's Dip. There we found a green pigeon nest the other day, and I want to see if they've managed to fledge a chick yet. So we are going to head in that direction. That's my plan, after we've had a look at this guy or girl sitting on that lovely stick there. Green pigeons, of course, so lovely this time of the year because of those fantastic colors that they bring into the tops of trees. Generally in summer you just see them flying overhead and making their way from one fig tree to another, in which they're sitting, and they're usually in fig trees in summer. Now we're finding them in the fruiting jackalberries. They're spending a lot of time in those fruiting jackalberries. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer to him, just to show you their socks. For for some or other odd reason, I'm just drawn to green pigeon socks. They are yellow and they are quite fluffy and they extend down the legs of these pigeons. Let's see if we can get it a bit closer. She has seen us. You can see they're getting that, they wobble from side to side just before they take off. I think it's getting their legs underneath them to jump into the air. They're a fairly heavy pigeon, and so it requires a substantial jump into the air for that first flap. And they can only take off 1 or 2 times from the ground, that is, without having to then walk and climb up a tree to get some height. Most birds are like that in actual fact. But to these big heavy birds, a couple of flights off of the ground or from a branch tires them out. There you go. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer as well. It's always good to practice your sneaking techniques. Definitely seen us. Head down, watching us now. Let's see how close she'll let us come. As I was saying, sneaking up on a pigeon on a whatever day of the week it is today, Friday or Saturday. These noteworthy occupations we keep ourselves busy with. So we're going to use this branch of this tree now to hide our approach a little bit. And I think what we'll do is pop out on this side, Mr. Jean-Dre. Let's see if we can see. We're now not going to face her so that she thinks that we are just walking by. And let's see what we can do. There we go. A little bit closer to her now. So direct translation of this particular dove's name from Afrikaans means the parrot dove, or the parrot pigeon. And I think it's just in reference to their fruit-eating capacity, their size, and of course their colors, which you can see starting to come out there so beautifully. That eye in the sun. Just a lovely picture. Remember, take some screen grabs. Ramos, you've just asked me if I can make the green pigeon call. Unfortunately not. They make this very soft cooing noise that sort of trills into the coo and then ends with a hoo at the end of it. So it's a trilling coo with a hoo at the end. I'm not even going to attempt that. So that's something for James and for Brent to try. For me, I am atrocious at anything musical. I can hardly even say my name properly without without making some or other type of sound issue. Alrighty, let's have a look from this side. Just with that blue sky behind that little bird, and with the sun shining on her eye at the moment. When we get in a little bit closer, get your fingers ready over your keyboards, get yourself a nice screen grab for the day, for your cell phone or for your desktop. The wind just slightly ruffling those feathers up. Just have a look at that. Isn't that just absolutely fantastic? Quite a robust bill, and that's for picking off those fruits and the skin of those fruits. There we go. That is the shot of the morning for you there. Boom. Lovely. Alright, and on that note, and with this done, we're going to meet you at the nest site that we know of for these guys, and we'll see what we can get you on the way there as well. So off you go to Brent for an update.
Lion tracks! Finally, I've driven around without seeing a big cat track all morning. Now I've got tracks of the Inkahuma Pride and cubs. How's that look, Brian? So there's a lioness. And then the cub tracks are already about the same size as Karula. So there we go, there's a cub track there. That's already about the same size as a female leopard track. But we've got the lioness tracks. I'm just having a quick look around. Let's hope they went that way, not that way. Because that way is very thick and nasty. That way is towards Buffelshoek Waterhole. Here we go, here we go. Where are you going? There, there. Don't go that way. Tell me if my audio breaks, Brian. Okay, we're gonna drive on them. They're going too far. But as Steph was saying, the call of the African green pigeon is quite a difficult one. Now, if any of you are James Bond fans like myself, if you ever watched the old Bonds, they're from the 60s, and you always got those wonderful villains like Dr. No, or Goldfinger, and they always have a supercomputer that is doing something dastardly. Now, for me, the sound of an African green pigeon sounds somewhat like a Bond villain's computer. I'm trying to think how to make the call. If you give me a second, I'll see if I can produce it. No. Actually, you know what? One has technology, one should use technology. Pigeon. There's a pigeon. Yeah. And there it is. I'm going to put it. You can just see that evil Bond computer. So for me, it always sounds like those old school movies, like Bond, like Dr. No's computer or Gold, like, I don't know, for me that's what it sounds like. So I love that. Okay, so we're on the lion tracks. The whole pride, by the looks of things. We're just hoping they didn't go in here. So on a bit of hard ground. Still going straight here. And there's nothing here. So keep a lookout for that side for me there, Brian, if you just even see the hint of a track. Let's have a look on the side here. Okay, so I'm going to jump off the vehicle, try to figure out exactly where these tracks are going. And I'll try not to be a nefarious Bond villain today, but while we do that, let's go over to the biggest land mammal alive.
I'm so happy that Brent has picked up on some lion tracks because we have had no luck. However, we have found 2 elephants, which makes me very, very happy. As some of you may know, if you read the blog about me, I absolutely love elephants, and I could spend the whole day with the elephants. But we have got 2 lovely elephant bulls that we're watching. They're getting stuck into something. Maybe I should have a look and see what they're munching on. Oh, it looks like a knobthorn. Very tasty. Is it a knobthorn? I can't see properly. Looks like it. Just incredible how tough and hard the skin is on the elephants, that the thorns don't even bother them. I mean, you can really see there's some nasty thorns on that tree. And they're just happily munching away. Looks like they've either pushed it over or it was pushed over. We've got a few logs that are obstructing our view at the moment. But it's quite nice with the lovely golden light illuminating them as they have some breakfast. Must be quite weird that we sit and watch animals do their business the whole day. How would you feel if you had animals watching you all day do your thing? I think it would be quite intimidating.
I have flies in my room and watch me all night.
VM says that the flies watch him all the time, and VM, I bet that those flies have got some stories to tell. Look at them, they're reaching in. Oh, that's lovely. Good morning, Yankees girl. So you've just asked me what my favorite animal in the bush is, and we're looking at it. Elephants. I love big breeding herds of elephants. They're possibly my favorite. However, these 2 young bulls will suffice. They are fantastic just to watch them. They're so intelligent, especially when you're watching the herds. It's pretty spectacular how you can almost see human characteristics, I suppose. And this one is now moving into some thicker vegetation. Hopefully he's going to pop out. I'm sure they've eaten quite a bit. Let's try and go forward just a little bit. Maybe we get another little glimpse. We've just got a guarri tree in the way. We're just going to head round, just see if we can't see his head poking out through the other side. Now he's turned the other way. Typical. Hello, elephants. And they're so relaxed. It's like they don't even care that we are here. Let's poke our nose. They're now playing hide and seek. It's now spot the elephant. I don't know, let's see if they seem to be coming this way, so hopefully their next move is going to be towards us, so you can really see how big these animals are. The one that we're looking at the moment, we're sort of watching him eat, he's relatively old. I don't think he's quite mating with any of the females just yet. He looks to be maybe in his late 20s, so he's still got a little bit of growing to do. There's quite a few, I'm sure, big bulls in this area that he's going to be battling it out for. And the one just behind him is slightly younger, not quite as big in body size, though it's quite difficult to make it out through all the different trees. He's very well camouflaged. It's another thing that you learn when you're out in the bush. You don't think that such a big animal could camouflage so well. Hello, David. You're a long way from where I am. You're sending us a message from Napa, I believe. So David wants to know how thick an elephant's skin is and why do they need such thick skin. So it varies all over their body, the thickness. So the ears being the thinnest part of skin on an elephant's body, probably only a few mils thick. And then you can see we zoomed in there to where the tusk protrudes. That will be relatively thick skin. So it's anywhere between 1.5 and 2 centimeters, which is quite nice. Not quite as thick as rhinos or as elephants. As rhinos or as hippos, but elephants have got relatively thick skin. Obviously, David, with the vegetation that they're constantly moving through, remember in summer all these trees get leaves, and it becomes very, very dense brush. This is winter, and you can already see that little thicket that these elephants are hiding themselves behind. And some of the trees are armed with fierce weapons in the form of thorns. So for them to be able to move through easily, the skin needs to be quite tough so that the thorns really just scratch them, and probably quite pleasant at some point. And this will then allow them to move through with ease without yelping every time they go through. I think if I had to try and go through that area that the elephants are just standing in, you'd probably hear a few screams coming from me. And I'd come out with lots of blood as well from the damage from all the thorns. So that is why elephants need thick skin. Hopefully, David, that answers your question. And these boys are still just enjoying themselves in the thicket, munching away. Oh, we've got a little bit of movement. Oh, maybe he's just realized we're here. Oh, wow. So we were talking about tannins earlier and how animals tend to not feed on the same shrubbery for a long time. However, every animal is slightly different. They've all got different digestive systems. Some are more susceptible to chemicals than others, or poisons. And I'm sure you know this because it's a fairly common fact that elephants don't have the greatest digestive system. So they're possibly able to feed on this tree for quite a long period now, and it's not affecting them as if it were an impala or an inyala or kudu eating on it. But they are completely devouring this entire shrub. Oh, picked up a whole branch. You can just see the movement of the branch at the back. And what he's most likely going to do now is he's gone, I've had enough of the leaves, give me some of the bark. And he's popped it in his mouth, and it's quite interesting how he'll corkscrew and twist that entire branch in his mouth. You can see him pulling away at the bark there. And that will actually take out the outer layer of the bark. And he's actually going for the layer just inside that, the cambium layer, which is the layer that nutrients are transported from the roots towards the leaves. So you can imagine it'd be quite juicy. And with there not being too much water around, I'm sure they enjoyed that nice little snack. Something that I like to do, and you'll all realize this over time, is that I like to just look and listen. So I think I'm just going to sit very quietly just for a few moments, just to enjoy the peacefulness of the bush. I hope you can hear all the crushing and cracking that I'm able to hear so well with these elephants right next to us. That's quite amazing. And often when you're walking, which is what Steph is doing, this is one of the things you'll probably be looking out for, is not to bump into some elephants that are feeding, or buffalo walking through the leaf litter. It's very important to listen when you're out in the bush. You'll be surprised as to what just standing quietly for a moment will be able to tell you. Quite nice. You hear all the little birds passing through, which is quite nice as well. Very small ones, little wax bills. Good morning, Nathan. So you have asked, do I have any other good elephant stories that I've experienced in the past? Yes, I do. That's why they're my favorite animal. I've had some incredible encounters over the few years that I have been in this industry, and I've been so fortunate. I get very emotional when I talk about this one particular sighting. So, one morning, while coming around the corner, we heard a herd of elephants. It was quite distressed. This is many years ago now, and so I stopped the vehicle just to sort of hear. It was quite a thick area, and I didn't want to get myself into a situation where I was going to get trapped by the elephants. That's the absolute last thing you want to do when you're in the bush, is be trapped. So I sat and I listened, and I made the decision, okay, let's move in a little bit. So we carried along this windy road, and as we got up ahead, we saw this female elephant. She was standing motionless, and the rest of the herd was sort of just standing in front of her in a semicircle, and they were trumpeting, and their stomachs were rumbling, and it was quite a chorus that we were listening to. But you could see that this female elephant was horribly distressed. It was really sad. And we looked down on the ground, and there laid a young elephant calf who'd just been born, maybe half an hour before we got there, if even that. And it was so sad because this little elephant wasn't moving. And Mom was trying to pick it up. Mom was trying to help it stand up. Mom was trying to do everything she possibly could to help this elephant get up. We sat there for about an hour and a half watching her. And the herd stood around. They started munching. But you could see that they were grieving. They were very stressed. Eventually this female gave up, and I think she realized that this little one was not going to wake up and take its first steps, let alone take its first drink. So the next thing that she did brought tears to myself and my guests. We just sat there absolutely bawling our eyes out. She then dragged the little elephant to the side of the road, and she proceeded to cover it with sand and leaves as if she was trying to bury it. And she did this for about another 20 minutes, and it was unbelievable. Eventually, the herd moved off. They were in a sort of a valley, so they weren't too far, they were just feeding. And this female, she stayed with the elephant for a few days. Eventually I think she realized that she had to go try and relocate on the rest of the herd, which she did manage to do. So that was a very sad but very touching story, just to watch the emotions of the elephants and how that whole situation played out. That's probably one of my favorite stories. And I've got a few more, so let me know if you enjoyed that one. I'll happily share a few more elephant stories. Had some other amazing encounters, but that one is probably the one that's impacted me on my life the most, seeing everything like that. But it looks like these elephant boys, they're just munching away. They've stuck right in to this shrub, and they don't look like they're going to come out. I think they're enjoying themselves now, munching away behind us. I think what we're going to do is we're going to carry on looking and see what else we can find. Maybe we found a breeding herd of elephants. So, I'm not so happy about this. I believe that Steph has got one of my worst, I have a really bad phobia of the thing that Steph is about to show you. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but enjoy the creepy crawlies, and I'll see you a bit later, hopefully with something else.
Taylor should never, ever, ever let a bunch of naughty men in a camp know that she is scared of spiders, especially here in the bush, because now it's going to be a never-ending source of amusement to tease her. But what you're having a look at here is just quite an epic story. That is a flat wall spider, non-venomous, but just have a look at that camouflage. And she has caught one of the most deadly insects of them all, the praying mantis. And she's dragging the praying mantis with behind her as a type of larder, I would imagine. So she moves from place to place, and her job is to stay hidden and out of sight. But what she won't do is she won't let go of a prize kill like this. So she spun it into a web of silk, and then she's carrying her dinner with her where she moves to from place to place. We caught her on the sunny side of this tree, and she's just busy getting warm this morning. That's why she hasn't run away from us just yet. But one of the most camouflaged spiders, flat wall spider. And just have a look at that. And of course, carrying around her praying mantis dinner. And I'm just astounded at how she managed to do that. That would be like a leopard catching a lion of the same weight. Pretty much. An ambush specialist, both of them, ambush specialists, highly predacious. In other words, they would each of them would take the opportunity to kill one another if they could, and she has just managed to kill a praying mantis. And I mean, it truly is astonishing. Just to give you an idea of how big this is, there is my thumb against her. Have a look how camouflaged she is as well. I actually didn't even notice her until I was right up against the tree. Isn't that just amazing? Let me move my finger away over here. There you can just see that size difference. Okay, we're battling this morning with young Jean-Andre. He hasn't had his breakfast. The reason why I actually came and put my face against this particular tree was because this is the sausage pod in Philemon's Dip, and I like giving this sausage pod a hug. He's a lonely sausage pod. He's the only sausage pod that grows in the bush here in Djuma that we can find. Outside of the camp, there are many sausage pods inside Djuma, and I think that is exactly why he is here. But additionally to what we've just shown you, and why we actually came here, was we located that green pigeon's nest. It is above my head now, and it looks like a collection of sticks. We're just going to find it a little bit. It's going to take us a second or two. Jean is obviously just looking at a big red blob. And there you go. That is a green pigeon's nest, everybody. And it is complete at that. Doesn't look like much, eh? And that's because doves and pigeons tend to make the most useless nests that I have ever come across. It is just literally a collection of sticks and on a platform. They then lay a clutch of eggs on that and then incubate their eggs. And then not many of them hatch. A lot of them actually fall out of the tree in wind. I'm actually going to see if there's anything in there. If I can see anything in there. The parents are not around at the moment. No eggs in it at the moment, so it's an empty nest, unfortunately. I suppose the question would be is when do they lay their eggs, and how long do they incubate their eggs for, and how long does the baby pigeons sit in this little nest in their little clutch of sticks? That one hasn't been used yet. Doves and pigeons, having their large robust size, also defecate a lot, and so the outside edges of a dove's nest always tend to be sort of glued together with this excrement and guano that the birds excrete the whole time. And that one doesn't look like it's been used just yet. Have a look at this lonely sausage pod tree. That's why we walked up there. One is to come and have a look at the green pigeon's nest. The next was to get close up just to give it a good handshake and a little bit of a hug, if I must be honest. I like hugging these trees. And then we found that flat wall spider with her praying mantis prize. Isn't that amazing? I find that quite nice. In Philemon's dip this morning. Our plan now is around the corner from here. There's a jackalberry that is full of fruit. And last week we had the surprise of watching a troop of vervet monkeys busy feeding in the tree and dropping bits and pieces of husk. And there was a grey duiker that was underneath the tree busy eating those husks. And that's exactly what I want to go and see right now. Is the tree still in fruit? What visitors are going to be there today? And could we on foot approach something in that vicinity and share it on foot with you? There's an owl busy calling behind me. Lovely morning this morning. Anyway, while we get to our jackalberry tree, we're going to send you over to Brent for an update.
The line tracks have split, so there's a single lioness going to the east, there's some going to the west. I can't find where the cubs have gone. They disappeared on some hard ground. So what we're doing is we're heading back towards the last place I had those tracks. Taylor's on her way to give us a hand as well. And I'm really hoping they're not inside this myriad of drainage lines to our east, because that can make life very difficult. There's about 4 or 5 little river systems that all converge in this area, and a lot of them are really steep, making it near impossible to get a vehicle in. So it's a really white delight. And sometimes it can make spotting things a little bit more difficult. Now, of course, what I'm looking for is the belly of a lion, so that white just to stick out at me, or slight bit of movement, a flick of the tail, flick of an ear. Now, if they were hunting, they might have left the cubs around here, and that's what I'm sort of hoping for. So I'm going very slowly, checking every little spot. Wishful thinking, I think. But remember, we are live, so while I'm in search of lions, you can ask me questions about lions. You can do that by using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. or you can send an email to questions@wildearth.tv. So the last lion track we had was around here. And I could smell some relatively fresh leavings of a lion. Where did I stop, Brian? It was up here, hey? About here, I think. No, a little bit further. Because I had the most fresh track that I could see. Let's have a look here. It was over here. There we go, I can see where I climbed back to the car. Let's have another look at that track. I got a direction, so I didn't check too carefully. So we're going to check carefully now. Hopefully with this camera you're going to be able to see what I'm looking at. So there's a running track of a lioness going that way, but I sort of saw a very clear footprint as I was on the march through this area. Now, what I'm checking for now is if there are any cub footprints with it. He was here. Yeah. Now this is a running track. I don't know, can you see? I think it might be a bit far. And you can just see the toes there. And it's a nice fresh track. Going that way, so we've checked the next road above. Now, I'm going to have a closer look around. So there's a cub track there. The mysteries of the Nkahumas. Some particularly hard ground around here, which is making it a little bit more difficult. Now, almost what I'm really hoping for is while we stop and walk and look at footprints, but there's only one lioness track, one cub track. I'm really hoping maybe we hear that wonderful wow, 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 wow. Quite a strong wind around. Actually really still. The only thing we can hear is a magpie shrike. Come on, lions, make a noise. Now as it gets warmer and warmer, the lions are going to be less noisy and less noisy. Or they're going to be noisier earlier. So I think the noisy period for lions is probably between 4 and 5 now. In the distance we can hear a red-crested koran. Well, no, nothing. Let's keep going. Now, we're about to come up to a junction. And of course, it's just another day at the office for the thumb. So I think the thumb is being lazy so far this morning. So since it is a work day for the thumb, we're going to put him to work. So we're going to come up to a junction in the next minute or so, and we've got lion tracks going both directions. So we're going to let the thumb decide which way to go. I hope the thumb's got his thinking cap on and it's thinking about lions. Okay, thumb, are you ready, thumb? There's the thumb. Now I'm watching in my monitor. You see he's all business-like today. He's got the tie on. Thumb, which way? Let me watch my monitor. Oh, the thumb says to the right. Now we've actually got a three-way turn, thumb. Oh. Sorry, I parked badly for the thumb to see. So we've got there, we've got there, and then we've got there. Oh, the thumb's thinking. Ah, he still sticks with the same. Okay, well the thumb must be on something, so we're going to check back down Drakensberg Road. Okay, so while we check down the thumb's road, which is Drakensberg shall now be known on forever the 4th, let's go see if Taylor's had any more luck.
Radio. So, I know we're looking at something on the ground, which is something different. And it's a very special creature, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. So we're going to have a little bit of a quiz this morning. So excuse me waving my stick around. I like to talk with my hands. So Viem's zooming in now on this beautiful track here. I'm not going to tell you just yet, so have a good look at it. And I'll be very, very impressed if anybody can get this one, because this one's quite a difficult one. I'll give you a clue though, it's an elusive creature. We don't see too many of them. We often just see the signs that they've been scurrying through. So that's all of the clues that I'm giving you. And let's see who can get it. But I don't know if you can see nicely what it is. Does it look like a handprint? Does it look like a footprint? What do you think? So the one I've given you, you're very lucky. It should be a dead giveaway because it's a very clear track. You've got a front foot and a back foot, which is quite nice. So I'll give you a clue. This is the front foot. And here's a part of the back foot over here. You can see the front feet much larger than the back. So that's my clue to you. And let's see if you can get it. I'm going to hop in the vehicle very quickly. So please excuse me while I get my wires. I've got my stick with me too. Oh, there we go. Need to get longer legs. I've got to get plugged in so I can hear if anybody gets the answer correct. And I'm in. Right, we're going to carry on. We're going to go help Brent. David! It's great. Keep hearing your name popping up. So David's guess already. Very impressed with the response. You said pangolin. Unfortunately, it's not a pangolin. So we're narrowing it down of the elusive species. So what else could it be if it's not a pangolin? So I think we're coming up to the area where Brent has been looking. I am just going to double check the cut line again because I cannot tell you how many times cut lines are quite busy roads often. So lots of different vehicles could be driving them, and it's so easy to miss a track. Even though I know Brent has got the best eyes, it's always nice for someone to even double or triple check to see if they can't maybe spot a track. Okay. Coming in. Liam has just pointed out while I was too busy talking. We just check this side. Liam's just said he had a line track. I can't really see. Oh, yeah. Not so bad, actually. Let me go. Sorry, I'm still working up. Okay. Can you see that? Can you get that one or not really? Okay. So we've got a male lion track, it looks like it, coming in, which is good. But sort of going a little bit more west. So maybe we're going to go and find a little road that just links up here. I'm still learning the property, so it's interesting. Don't quite know the names of the roads, but it's very thick in here, and this area behind us is full of drainage lines, which would make a perfect shady spot for a group of lions to sleep. It's also a bit breezy here on Djuma, and which is not ideal. A lot of the animals don't really enjoy the wind so much as it affects their hearing and their sense of smell quite a bit, which they rely on heavily. So possibly, this is from last night, and this male has maybe come in and gone and had a little snooze on one of these drainage lines. We're going to do a few loops around and just have a look and see if we can pick up anything else. It's hard to tell exactly how fresh these tracks are because it is a busy road. There is a lot of sand and things that have been kicked up by the various vehicles, but it looks a little bit promising. So let's carry on. I'm going to let Brent know as well at some point. Oh my goodness, I'm stalling. I've been driving Land Cruisers. I'm a Land Cruiser fan, so this whole Land Rover thing I'm still getting used to. So, Morning Glory, you've asked me what my favorite animal to track is. So, my favorite animal to track. I really enjoy tracking lions, prides of lions. You get to see all the different tracks, and it makes it a little bit difficult as well, because when the lions walk, they don't necessarily always walk one behind the other. They could fan out, which is quite fun. So yeah, I think I'd say lions are my favorite animals to track. So we're gonna probably just try and find a little road that links back into here and go back around to see if we can pick up anything on this male lion that's possibly come in. So I've been working with a tracker for the past year and a half, which has been fantastic and made my life very, very easy. So I think what we're going to do now is I'm possibly going to jump off the vehicle, actually just have a little look-see and see if we can see where those male lion tracks go. I'm going to send you over to Steph, where he's birding like crazy. Enjoy.
We are birding like crazy. Thank you very much, Taylor. We've finally arrived at this Jackalberry, which is just absolutely covered in fruit. And in it are a variety of birds. Of note, though, are a pair of green pigeon that are having a bit of a fight with one another. And we're going to try and see if we can show it to you. Bear with us. Here comes more green pigeon rocketing in. So now there's a total of 4 or 5 of them in this tree. And that is about as many green pigeons as you're likely to get in a tree. So, up through that gap there. So, it's a bit difficult, just bear with us for a little bit. Let's see if we can get... So, we got these 2 birds busy courting one another. We're just going to try and find it for you. Jean is busy looking through a mass of red focus points. Go up. Up. There's one more. Oh, right, you got one. Anyway, the birds around this tree are just phenomenal. And of course, this fruiting jackalberry will represent the food, the majority of the food in this particular area. It's the only plant at the moment that's producing fruit, other than a few odd fig trees that'll be further south on the major rivers like the Sand River or the Manyeleti River that's close to us, may have a few fruiting sycamore figs, but that's about it. This tree is the sum total of the food in this area and will be visited the entire day by a host of different animals, from monkeys, baboons, all these birds. We've had both grey lory and the green pigeon, which are the 2 largest frugivores we have here, in the tree at the same time. It's also been visited by a sunbird and a starling since we've been here, probably looking for insects that are feeding on the jackalberries. And then of course the fruit that gets disturbed by these big birds flapping and flitting about in there falls to the floor and will then create another food source for animals like grey duiker, steenbok, kudu. Impala will also feed on the fruit. And then of course the namesake of this particular tree, the jackalberry, it'll also provide some fruit for jackal. And I doubt that even if we were to scour the area around this particular termite mound, that we'd even find evidence of a single fruit. That's how valuable this is. But we're going to try anyway, because it's a bit of an adventure really, to see what we can find here underneath this tree. So Terry, all the way from Oklahoma, good morning Terry. You wanted to know, if nothing fruits in winter, what do the monkeys and the birds eat then? The nice thing to tell you, Terry, is that Mother Nature is such a fantastic thing, and although dormant, there's always something to eat in the bush. So fig trees do not have a season. You'll find that fig trees will fruit throughout the year and provide the frugivores, or the animals that rely on fruit, with their food source and their necessary food source for the entire dry season or winter. Coupled to that, you have aloes. So as soon as it gets to its driest, and I'm talking about June July, somewhere around there, the aloes fruit. And of course the aloes, with all their abundant nectar, attract a lot of frugivores. They'll eat the flowers for the nectar, and then also you get the nectivores, the sunbirds, and a variety of insects that come and just live on top of the aloes. Then you get your euphorbias flowering. Now, euphorbias don't occur a lot here, but you do get a lot of euphorbias. And then after that, you'll start to get the knobthorns, the flowers we looked at earlier this morning, these jackalberries, and from the jackalberries, life just flourishes. From here we get knobthorns and shambok pods and I'm trying to think of the tree wisterias, and all of that. From there to tambuetis, everything starts now. So these trees literally represent the last little bit of food that's around before the spring abundance happens. And because of that, literally this tree is almost de-leafed with the amount of jackalberries that are on it. Just have a look. I'm sure Jean will be able to focus through here just now. Above my head here, there's this awesome collection of fruit. I don't enjoy it too much, to be honest with you. The fruit has got this sort of very stringy, bready taste to it with lots of fibers inside it. So for me, not such a fantastic fruit to eat, although we can quite happily eat it. It also ferments incredibly well and makes a nice beer. I've never tasted it before, I'm just told that it makes a nice beer. And of course, distilling it in a type of moonshine is also possible. And I'm told by Herbert quite fondly that as little boys, they used to make this distillation of spirits out here, hide it away from their moms and dads, and then when they were herding their cattle and sheep through the forest, they used to celebrate life from time to time. Well, let's see, here's a remnant of one of these husks. So just looking around the base of the tree here, this is what's left of a jackalberry that's been dehusked basically. So you can see that the fruit was taken out of the shell, and then the shell was actually not eaten either. Now this would have been crunched through probably by a duiker or by a monkey. Monkeys peel off portions of the fruit. They're messy feeders, and they need to be messy feeders. They have the ability and the agility to climb into the top boughs of a tree, and by being messy feeders, they drop a lot of fruit on the floor that they don't eat, and bits and pieces of fruit. They almost glut, and as they're glutting, they're raining down food onto the forest floor below us, and that's where all the other little animals come and get their sustenance from. Things like duiker in particular, bushbuck, inyala, kudu, impala, to a degree steenbuck, although I don't see many steenbuck underneath termite mounds like us, but they definitely will visit. What else? Of course, the jackalberry. So this tree, very, very, very important, and I'm glad that this one is so healthy. No elephant damage, growing quite well on this termite mound. The termite mound itself providing masses of nutrients for this particular tree. Obviously, those nutrients are translated into its, or transferred into its fruit, and of course everything that lives on that fruit then benefits greatly. So this fantastic, massive jackalberry tree. Good morning. Alright, so what we're going to do is now we are going to go to another of my favorite tree, and possibly my favorite individual tree on Djuma is a massive weeping brobean about a mile from here. And while we get there, we're going to send you off to Taylor and to Brent, who are searching for those big cats, and I'm holding thumbs that you find some today.
Welcome back again. Steph is having lots of fun with the trees this morning and the birds, which is quite exciting. And it sounds like he's sort of in a southwesterly direction. It looked like a male lion track. It's quite difficult to establish how fresh those tracks are, just because I know it's a very busy road, and it could have been many vehicles that could have either put a lot of dust on the track and maybe hiding how fresh the track is, or it could be an older track. The sand is quite soft as well. So we're just checking on a fire break just to see if we can't pick up anything that's crossing in front of us. So we're taking a very, very slow bumble through here. Lots of little drainage lines coming through here once again. It's nice to sort of keep out of the wind, keep out of the heat of the day. So we're just going to just keep checking and just see if we can't pick up on any more any more tracks. So how's that quiz going? Has anybody got any answers for me? So we've got 2 more guesses. So Honey guessing honey badger and Ellie guessing porcupine. I'm afraid you are both incorrect. So what does that leave us to? Congratulations, Nemo, Liz, Raisa, and everybody else who got the answer correct. Aardvark, that's what we were looking at. It looked to be a fairly large aardvark too. I presume it was a male. He had massive tracks, and I don't know if you know this, but an aardvark can get up to about 60 kilograms. It's huge, really massive. We've just changing around here. We're going to head down this one. We haven't seen anything crossing over, but I know lions tend to jump over roads. I'm telling you they do that. They like to give us presenters and guides a hard time when trying to track the animals. So I'm pretty sure they either do that or they wipe their footprints out as they walk around. So we haven't seen anything coming over, which is making me feel like that track is maybe a little bit older than what I initially thought, which is not a problem. It's always good just to recheck and do loops, because you never know, maybe an animal that was sleeping in a drainage line decides to come out now and move to a new spot of shade or something along those lines. So it's always good. I've driven roads many times where I've done it 3 or 4 times, and on the 4th time, voila, a lion or whichever animal it may have been that I was looking for. We're going to just take a little bumble around here. I'm going to be making VM lots of coffee. Milo. He prefers Milo, for helping me out today. He's been fantastic. A little shout out to VM. It's quite thick here. Lots of bush willows, lots of wattles, a bit of everything. Just always looking into the distance, always good to scan around. And a trick that I learnt, for those of you who ever have the opportunity to come on safari and you're looking around, so obviously we read books from left to right. So our brain is very used to panning from left to right. So what I like to do is try something different, especially when I'm walking, is do the opposite. Start from the right and look left. And because it's something new, I find that my brain tends to pick up things a lot quicker, which is quite nice. It's just something to think about, something that I picked up from a few mentors. But it's looking very dismal here. Very dry. Oh, there's a few sprouts of green grass, which is actually not so bad. Oh, some wonderful mud wallows, which I'm sure will be filled with animals as the rains hopefully come along. You can see these will be nice. Have a few buffalo in them, or maybe even I'm sure they had a few hippos in them, unfortunately, when the rest of the dams were all drying up. So we're not having too much luck at the moment. I think we're going to carry on, and please keep your fingers crossed back at home. I'd really like to see some cats. I really want to find out what's going on within Kahumas, and I'd really like to see a Birmingham for the first time. I've never seen it. I've always only heard of these lions. So, like I said as well, if you've got any useful information that I can use, please send them in. You can either hashtag Safari Live or questions@WildEarth.tv. And for now, I'm going to love you and leave you for a little bit. Let's see if Brent has got anything. I know he's been off the vehicle for a little bit, so hopefully he's got a lovely fluffy cat for you. I'll see you later.
No fluffy cat, but I do have fluffy hair. But on the note of fluffy cats, I have very fresh tracks, which is good, which we haven't had for a while. Here we go. Over there. And the cub tracks. Oh, and Andrew's looking for me, but here they go. Okay, so we've checked around, so I'm pretty sure that in this block, let me just tell Andrew to stand by. Stand by, Andrew, I'll be with you in 2. Okay, let's just have a look here. So you see them here, Brian? So there's a cub track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks. I can see the adult lioness. But unfortunately there are no roads. This is one of those big blocks with no roads. And what do you think, Thumb? Should we check the fire brake?
Yeah,
I think we should check the fire brake. If we have no luck on the fire brake, I'm going to come back and walk here. But exciting, definitely the freshest tracks we've found all morning, so we've been slowly catching up with the Nkahumas. Sorry, Andy. I've just found fresh Nkonzo on top of my mobile Nkonzo on Hippo Pools, heading north into the block between Buffalo's Hook East and Hippo Pools Road.
Okay, good. Thanks, Brent. I'm on the Chillicothe line, so what I'll do, I will go to the fire break of Buffalo's boundary, that side, and maybe drive south in the block.
Copy, yeah, thanks, Andrew, that'll be great. I'm going to turn around and maybe head back towards Buffalo's Hook Dam, but the tracks, if they come out, they're going to come out on that road to the east of Buffalo's Hook Dam. From the general direction, I'd guess about halfway between the fire break and the dam itself.
Okay.
Okay, so there we go. Sorry, just letting Andrew know. So we were going to go check the fire break, but fortunately for us, finding animals is often teamwork. So Andrew's going to check the fire break for us. I'm going to have a quick gander back towards the waterhole. I think they might be in a little river system I know about, and just in here. So I want to go check back towards the waterhole. If nothing, I'm going to come back here and have a stroll. So those tracks are actually on top of our vehicle tracks from earlier this morning. .tv or hashtags #SafariLive if you'd like to know how we track lions or how we find animals out here, or if you have any musing, wandering, pondering about the wild African bushveld. I've been waiting for this question all morning since we've been tracking the Nkahumas prides. What are my thoughts on the missing Nkahumas cubs? And that's from Lynn. Lynn, it is normal. It's what happens. It happens relatively often. Quite often the cubs are found. Quite often they're not. You must remember that there is about a 6% mortality rate with lion cubs from various different reasons. So it's sad, but it is part and parcel of life in the bush. Now, if lions were able to successfully rear every single litter, there wouldn't be an impala or a buffalo left. If we had herds of 60 lions, there would be almost no animals left. So it's nature balancing itself out. Of course, I really hope that those cubs join with the pride again, but there is a possibility they won't. Hopefully, who knows, if we find them this morning, they might all be together. And those little animals are a lot more resilient than we give them credit for. Hi Sharon in California. Sharon would like to know, if I found the 2 missing cubs, would I intervene and return them to the pride? Well, firstly, Sharon, if I had to try and pick up a little lion cub, I would look like I'd been put through a wood chipper. Literally, I would be in absolute tatters from their claws and teeth. So, firstly, bad idea for my general well-being. Secondly, I wouldn't intervene. I'm a big believer in not intervening. It is a natural system. It is an open system. A certain amount of lion cubs need to die for others to survive, or for the rest of the ecosystem to remain healthy. Now, the only time we intervene is if it is due to man or a man-caused event. And those cubs being lost has got nothing to do with us. Therefore, joining them back with the pride has nothing to do with us either. We are here to observe and watch. Okay, so what we're hoping, so those lion tracks, we're heading this way, and there's a couple of nice little systems, river systems in here where they might be chilling in the shade. So we'll make sure there are no tracks sneaking across. Now there are definitely no tracks on the northern boundary, we've checked there. As I said, those tracks are really fresh, they're on top of our tracks from earlier this morning. So it's possible they actually haven't even got this far yet. But we are keeping our eyes peeled. Isn't that a strange saying, keeping your eyes peeled? It's an incredibly painful process to peel your eye. But I wonder where it comes from. Does anyone know where keeping your eyes peeled comes from? If you know, let me know. Questions at WildEarthTV or hashtag Safari Live. Some of the strange musings you have while on an African safari. But while we muse how to peel our eyes, let's go see how Steph's faring on foot.
We are faring much better than this kudu. This is a male kudu's skull with horns still intact. It looks ancient. This horn looks like it's been dead here or lying here for at least 2 years, 2 or 3 years. It takes a long time for bone and horn and keratin to be used up in nature, and that's because very little animals can do anything with it. But what it does do is it gives us this remarkable look at some of these animals' anatomy that we don't usually get to see. And for those of you who ask us from time to time what the difference is between an antler and a horn, this allows me to show you exactly that. This is a horn because it's a bony sheath. This is bony core with a keratin sheath. Whereas an antler is just this keratin. An antler grows from a bed. And the bed, in this particular case, if this was an antler, would be on the base of the skull. And very similar to a nail, the horn would grow up from the base of the skull, but always having the blood supply, well, not really the blood supply, but the bone ending sort of on the skull, whereas a horn is completely different. But something that I've remarked on from time to time as well with kudu is that here's the kudu skull, here's its eyeball, its nose was there. Now, I've said from every now and again, at least anyway, that a kudu can see their eye. And can see the tip of their horn basically from their eye. So here's the eye socket, here's the eye here. This is where the eyeball would sit, probably sitting out about that much. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tip of the horn, I'm going to put my eyeball where the tip of the horn is. Excuse me, my eyeball where his eye is, and now I've covered it as my hand. Okay. Which one's going to work? Let me just shave off some of this stuff quickly. Hold on 1 second for me. Let me just prep my experiment.